good morning, wherever you are. This is John with Gringo CTO, and today I wanted to talk about a topic that is a little bit less technical, although I would say adjacent to some of the other topics that have come up recently. Other day I did a video on how a developer should choose between all of the wonderful options that we have in the world of relational databases, and it kind of got me thinking about a higher order issue that comes up pretty frequently, which is, especially among junior engineers, I see a lot that people start learning tools and obsessing over tools, bike shedding over tools. Great term, by the way, but and you really shouldn't be. The truth of the matter is, as long as you make a reasonable choice, and I'll unpack what makes a choice reasonable or not, you really just, it doesn't matter, and you shouldn't pretend like it does. I'll speculate a little bit as to why. Like, something I see a lot is people obsess over the choice of a database or the absolute perfect way to do something. The choice of stack is a very common one, and even within a stack, within the JavaScript side of the world, whether it's front end or back end, it seems like there's always some new way to do things, a new framework, a new hot cool way of approaching problems. And the fact of the matter is, not that it's necessarily the best choice, and certainly not the sexiest, but you could have solved the same problem using server-side rendering in your favorite framework, whether it's Django or vanilla PHP, even, or whatever. And I say that as somebody who's fallen prey to the cycle of technology hype and all the rest. So I know what I'm talking about in this case. But yeah, like, the truth of the matter is a guy named Matt Stauffer likes to say, Yagni, you aren't going to need it. So when does it make sense to think about tools? There's a couple of frames that you can apply to this. One is, let's call it the one-way door theory. I think Jeff Bezos invented or popularized this concept at Amazon. But the idea that there are certain doors that are two-way doors, you can walk in, you can walk out. And in those cases, you shouldn't spend so much time analyzing the decision, because it is relatively doable to undo that decision later. And in the second case, a one-way door, well, you have to be a lot more deliberate in that case, because it is impossible or impractical to walk back that decision once you've made it. First thing that comes to mind there, GraphQL is a popular choice for talking between your front end and your back end. And it does have certain advantages, but that's one of those things where, realistically, once you adopt GraphQL, the chances of you moving off to something else are relatively low. And the bigger your app is, it could be a massive undertaking to try to move to something else. If the benefits justify it, that's great, but those are the one-way doors that you have to keep in mind. And as always, I mean, I think the other frames, just think about things in terms of trade-offs. You know, it is possible to look at two pieces of technology or two ways of doing things, and sometimes there will be a trade of one quality in exchange for something else. So classic case would just be using a more rapid application development framework to get a product off the ground and test it. And in that case, you might be sacrificing things like correctness or stability or, you know, what have you, in exchange for time. Time to market specifically, and allowing you to learn and then theoretically throw out the prototype and rewrite it later, although that does happen less often than people claim it will. And maybe that can make sense. There are other scenarios, though, where there is no trade-off. Like, I would say, to my other video that I did the other day, applying a non-relational database to a relational data set is not something that is a trade-off. It's just stupid. You are going to spend the same amount of work setting it up, essentially, and working with it. In the long run, you're going to spend more time and more work trying to maintain it and migrate it and evolve your schema and all of the rest, just to end up with a worse version of relational data store that you have to maintain in your code base. That's not a trade-off. It's just dumb, and you shouldn't do it, right? So think about things through that lens. I mean, the choice of what language you want to use, that's going to come down more to what you're comfortable with. Sometimes there is an objectively better choice for certain things. The concurrency primitives in Golang, for example, are really, really strong, but those benefits are usually going to be realized once you already have some scale. If you happen to be familiar with something that's maybe not the current flavor of the month, but you know it very well, Frankly, that's probably the only justification that you need to use it for your new idea. So people have started successful businesses on absolutely everything. Everything that you can imagine, even stuff that seems like a really bad idea, sometimes without code. We'll just stitch together some SaaSes and make a pipeline that works, and then validate and build something that's more scalable later. So, yeah, I do think, just to speculate on the psychology, engineers tend to be analytical people, myself included, and there is this tendency to focus on details, which is great. It can make us good at our jobs, but taken to an extreme, like anything, it can be counterproductive. So yeah, keep in mind that the hard problem that you have to solve, especially at the early stage of a company, is figuring out your customer and how you can sell them something. And everything else is of secondary importance. And the truth of the matter is, getting to your first customer you can do in just about anything. So stop by shedding so much over your tools and instead focus on finding your customer. That would be the one piece of advice that I'll give you. And the truth is, most of these are two-way doors. Hire somebody who's an expert, and you can most likely undo it later. So that's all for today. Quick video. Hope that was useful. Any questions, any ideas for future videos, I'm open. Leave me a comment. And please like and subscribe. This is a new channel, so every little bit helps. Thank you.